Karen Whitmore nearly choked on her morning latte when she spotted the American flag fluttering in the Hendersons' front yard, all 18 inches of it. Her manicured fingers trembled as she whipped out her phone, snapping photos like a paparazzi catching a celebrity scandal. Violation 847B, she muttered, already composing the citation in her head. Little did she know that this tiny flag would soon become her greatest nemesis. The irony wasn't lost on the neighbors who watched Karen march across Maple Lane in her perfectly pressed pantsuit, clipboard clutched like a weapon. Here was a woman who'd installed a 12-foot inflatable Santa the previous Christmas, without HOA approval, now hunting down a flag smaller than her morning newspaper. Mr. Henderson. Karen's voice carried the authority of someone who'd never been told no by a retail manager. This flag is a clear violation of Section 12A. Decorative items exceeding 6 inches in height require written approval. Tom Henderson, a retired Marine, looked up from his garden with the patience of someone who'd faced actual enemies. "Ma'am, it's the American flag. Pretty sure the Constitution trumps your HOA handbook." "The Constitution doesn't govern Willowbrook Estates," Karen snapped, her pen hovering over the citation form like a sword. "I am the HOA board president, and I decide what flies in this neighborhood." Tom's weathered face cracked into a grin. "Is that so?" Within the hour, Karen had delivered the citation with the satisfaction of a prosecutor presenting damning evidence. The fine, $200 for unauthorized patriotic display. She strutted back to her house, already planning her victory speech for the next board meeting. But Karen had miscalculated. She'd assumed Tom Henderson was just another suburban pushover who'd fold at the first sign of bureaucratic pressure. She hadn't bothered to research his background or notice the Marine Corps sticker on his truck. Most critically, she'd failed to read the fine print of her own HOA bylaws. That evening, Karen poured herself a glass of wine and admired her handiwork through the kitchen window. The tiny flag was gone. Victory was hers. She'd maintained the pristine aesthetic of Willowbrook Estates and reminded everyone who really ran this neighborhood. Her phone buzzed with a text from her vice president, Linda. "Karen, have you seen the Hendersons' yard lately?" Frowning, Karen stepped onto her porch. Her wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the concrete. Where the small flag had been, a massive stars and stripes now dominated the Henderson lawn. Easily 10 feet wide and 6 feet tall, mounted on a professional flagpole that reached toward the sky like a middle finger wrapped in red, white, and blue. At the base of the pole sat a small placard, in compliance with HOA Bylaw 15C. Flagpoles exceeding 20 feet require approval. This pole measures exactly 19 feet, 11 inches. Karen's perfectly organized world began crumbling faster than her morning makeup in the summer heat. By dawn, 17 more houses had sprouted American flags of varying sizes, each one positioned with surgical precision to comply with HOA regulations while maximizing visual impact. Her neighborhood looked like a 4th of July parade had exploded. "This is mutiny," Karen declared at the emergency board meeting she'd called for 6 a.m. sharp. The 3 other board members sat around her dining room table, looking like hostages at a corporate retreat. "We need immediate action." "Actually, Karen," Linda said hesitantly, consulting her tablet, "I've been reviewing our bylaws and technically." "I don't want to hear technically." Karen slammed her palm on the mahogany table, causing coffee to slush from ceramic cups. "I want solutions." But the solutions weren't coming. Every angle Karen explored led to the same conclusion. The residents were operating within the rules she'd helped write. Worse, Tom Henderson had apparently spent his retirement studying HOA law with the dedication of a Supreme Court justice. The situation deteriorated when Karen decided to fight fire with fire. She drafted Amendment 23X, banning all flags except those smaller than 8 inches and requiring a $500 approval fee. The amendment needed a 2/3 vote from homeowners to pass. The town hall meeting became the most attended event in Willowbrook Estates history. Karen stood at the podium, her usual confidence wavering as she faced a sea of skeptical faces. Many wore red, white, and blue. A coincidence she was certain wasn't coincidental. This amendment protects our property values, Karen began, her voice higher than usual. Excessive displays create visual pollution that, like your Christmas decorations. Someone called out, earning chuckles from the crowd. Karen's face flushed crimson. That was a temporary seasonal display, completely different from. Tom Henderson rose slowly from the back row. The room fell silent. Ma'am, I served 3 tours overseas defending the right to fly this flag. You want to charge me $500 for that privilege? The vote wasn't even close. 89 against, 12 in favor. Karen's amendment died faster than her political career. But Karen Whitmore hadn't become HOA president by accepting defeat gracefully. As the crowd filed out, chattering excitedly about their victory, she sat alone at the podium, her mind racing. She'd lost this battle, but the war was far from over. Late that night, Karen stood in her darkened living room, staring out at the sea of flags that now surrounded her house like a patriotic army. Her reflection in the window looked older, more tired than she remembered. For the first time in years, she wondered if she'd chosen the wrong hill to die on. Her phone buzzed with an anonymous text, "Check your mailbox, Karen." Heart pounding, she crept outside. Inside her mailbox was a single sheet of paper, a petition signed by 127 residents calling for her removal as HOA president. At the bottom, in Tom Henderson's precise handwriting, was a simple message. Sometimes retreat is the wisest strategy. Karen crumpled the paper, but her hands were shaking. Tomorrow, she decided, she'd find a new approach. After all, she still had one card left to play, one that would either save her presidency or destroy everything she'd built. The question was, did she have the courage to use it?